Ayan. So makakasama po natin ngayon si Professor Rico Villanueva from the Financial Economics Department of the UP Los Baños, no. Inimbitahan po natin si Prof Rico dito to discuss kasi napabalita itong plano ni Secretary Recto na ilist na sa Philippine Stock Exchange ang DBP and the Land Bank of the Philippines. So Prof Rico, ano yung take mo dito?
Um, Parang mapapaisip ka kung ano objective ng gobyerno. Is it to develop the capital market, the stock market, or is it to get funds? I would think here it's mostly to have alternative sources of funding. Well, tama naman na yung stock market through IPO, initial public offering of a stock, is a way para makakuha ka ng pera from the public. It's a recognized way. Now, here, hindi malinaw hindi sinabi ni Recto kung if fully privatize ba nila yung land bank and DBP or parang part lang ng stocks or ownership yung ibebenta nila. Kasi that would have a lot of effect on how it will be received by the public, how the IPO will be received by the public. Kasi kung GOCC pa rin siya, pero nagbenta ka lang ng a few stocks, let's say 60% GOCC pa rin, 60% government pa rin siya, and 40% or less na public, kontrolado pa rin ng government siya. And technically, GOCCs na siya. So it's open to political and government control. And what's happening now on, there's a directive, supposedly a law, allowing DOF to get funds from GOCCs. So medyo mahirap yun. So like me, if I am an investor, ayoko naman babawasan bigla ng pera yung company na nag-invest ako. Delikado yun. And I don't want it to be subjected to political pressures as well.
Correct.
Mas gusto ko kung purely privatized. Halimbawa, yung PNB is now purely privatized. So okay lang. PNB can do its own thing without interference from the government. Pero kung half-show lang na IPO para lang makakuha ng pera sa public,
Right.
tingin ko magiging lukewarm yung reception ng tao.
So what you're saying is, kung ang agenda is to mobilize capital for DBP and Land Bank, medyo magdududa yung public, especially if it's still a government-owned and controlled corporation. Because normally, ang dahilan kung bakit ang mga tao ay mag-i-invest sa isang kumpanya, may malakas silang confidence dito. Eh ngayon, given the pattern of behavior ng gobyerno at specifically ng Department of Finance sa pagkuha ng GOCC fund, mukhang baka hindi mag-fly itong iniisip ni Secretary Recto. No?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Just from a commercial perspective, add ko rin from a commercial perspective, kailangan profitable yung ibebenta mo. Yung land bank, it's bigger, number 3 siya ngayon sa Philippine banks, and it's more profitable than DBP. So I think pwedeng ibenta, and kung tatanggapin ng tao yung political risks doon sa land bank, yung economic gains naman from land bank medyo attractive. Unless tanggalan nga ng pondo lalo, gawin drinking cow siya. But generally, land bank is okay commercially in terms of financials. Stronger and okay. Si DBP medyo delikado siya. So hindi siya palatable from the start. Hindi ko makita yung late. Nakita ko lang na annual report na 2022. Wala pa doon yung reduction, contribution ng DBP to Maharlika Fund. Pero we already know na DBP already asking reprieve from Bangko Sentral kasi kulang sila ng capital. So medyo shaky na yung position ng DBP. And then I was looking at the 2022 financials, lumaki yung kanilang provisions for credit losses or loan loss provision. So isipin may mga bad loans dito, halos nagdoble yung kanilang mga bad loans from 2021 to 2022. So hindi siya masyadong maganda yung DBP, to be honest, kung isibibenta siya. Pero kung may kumagat, ano na yun, buyer beware na yun.
Bahala na sila. Risk na nila yun, no?
And then, okay, if I can move on to the other side, that's the commercial side, meron din yung about the objectives. Kasi most of the corporations in the stock market are profit-oriented.
Yes.
Hindi siya development oriented. Now, Land Bank and DBP are supposedly socially oriented banks. Para secondary na supposedly yung profit. So ano mangyayari? Ano magiging positioning ng banks na yun pag in-IPO siya? I guess kung government supposedly, kung government majority owned by government, supposedly development oriented pa rin siya. Pero kung magiging siya, substantially owned by private sector, the private investors would expect profit maximization, not
Right.
necessarily social objectives. Halimbawa, pag unprofitable yung lending to agriculture or to micro MSMEs, sasabihin nila through their board representation, huwag ka na magpautang dyan. Kasi nalulugi tayo dyan. Pautang ka na sa big corporation. So may posibilidad na mabago yung objectives and mandate ng corporate. Actually, even for kahit na government-owned pa rin siya, the fact that you have significant representation of private sector, there's some pressure to please the private investor.
So maaring mag-change or reshape itong mission ng Land Bank and DBP. And maalala mo may initiative before na emerge itong DBP and Land Bank because nga yung sinasabi mo na medyo shaky ang DBP. Now pag pinag-merge sila, mararationalize din dahil marami na rin silang overlapping activities and programs. But now ito nga yung sinabi ni Secretary Recto, hindi natutuloy ang merging but ilalagay naman sila sa stock exchange para nga mag-mobilize ang capital. Palagay mo, link pa rin ba to dun sa Maharlika initiative?
That move actually was mentioned as early as during the Maharlika initiative. So, yun nga, parang they were already considering all forms of raising funds. So, posibleng kasama pa rin yun. Now, kung directly link, maybe not so directly, but indirectly linked siya dun sa, and it was already cited during the Maharlika. conversations.
Oo. Pero yung implikasyon na kaya ngayon kailangan na ng capital mobilization for DBP and Land Bank is because naging contributor sila ng Maharlika eh.
Yeah, in that sense, yes. Good point. Yes, kasi nga right now they're under the DBP and Land Bank are under the reprieve, capital reprieve from BSP. Then this IPO is a way for them to raise capital. So, i-increase nila yung authorized capital stock, pero kukunin nila yung additional increase in capital from the investing public.
Yes.
So yes, tama ka. Thank you for pointing that out. Affected rin siya by the movement, by the investment in Maharlika Fund.
So parang in effect, kung si-simplify mo yung nangyayari, the government, kinukuha na ng pera ang GOCCs, and now the GOCCs will need to look for money outside government. Getting the money from the public. Parang mas masakit.
Meron din ganun nangyayari sa health, sa PhilHealth, parang may ganun
Exactly. Pero parang kung yung side lang na yun ng narrative ang titingnan mo, hindi ka pa ma-alarma eh. Pero maybe another episode on how this money is being spent by government. Pero itong pattern ng pagkuha at pag-mobilize ng pera ng gobyerno, traditionally kasi, well, it's tax. Diba?
Yes.
And most of the time, yung tax sector, nakatax-tax naman talaga. Like cigarettes, alcohol, yung mga may negative effects sa kalusugan natin. But Secretary Rector refuses to impose new taxes on these goods.
Yes.
And yet, trying to mobilize money actually from the public pa rin na hindi natin masyadong napapansin. Diba?
Yes.
Kaya nga itong na-point out mo yung sa PhilHealth, 'di ba? Ilang araw na namin inaaway yan ni Doc Tony, but you pointed out a very good you found a very good document. Ano nga, baka gusto mong i-share.
Teka lang, comment na doon kay Recto. I
Sige,
guess ayaw ni Recto na what do you call this? Mag-add ng tax kasi baka maano na naman siya ng tao. Di ba? He has this history of that thing. ang punto ko lang dito, with what he's doing now, once people discovers what's being done, na kinukuha mo rin para sa from the tao, baka mas magalit yung mga tao. Actually, unti-unti nagagalit na yung mga tao. Like, sa Twitter nakikita ko, ang daming reactions on my
Yeah.
post on that. Kasi parang kinukuha mo nga from the PhilHealth. Now, going to the PhilHealth thing, parang gano'n rin nangyayari dun sa PhilHealth na supposedly yung government required by law. So, ipush siya ng batas, ng Universal Health Act, na bayaran yung premium for mahihirap, indigent, sa kayong mga seniors. So, yun yung subsidy supposedly ng government sa PhilHealth. So, pag naglagay ng pera, naglaan ng pera doon, automatically gagamitin yon sa pambayad ng premium. Di ba pag bumili ka naman ng insurance, wala naman libre, automatically pag nag-remit ka ng insurance payment mo, gamit na yon. So,
Explain mo nga yung premium, baka hindi naintindihan ni Secretary Recto. Kasi, ang premium kasi, kapag nagbayad ka, di ba, minsan tayo nagbabayad ng premium, but automatically, nagastos na yan, whether magkasakit ka o hindi.
Oo.
Diba?
Bayad yun.
Sige,
I think
maybe
ganun-
you can explain, laymanize the
Sige.
concept of insurance and premium.
Okay, so meron yung insurance, meron kang benepisyo doon. Halimbawa, kung life insurance or health insurance, pag namatay ka or nagkasakit ka, may makukuha yung pamilya mo or ikaw as a health benefit. Ganun rin sa PhilHealth. Pag nagkasakit ka, pag member ka, meron kang mga benepisyo, meron kang subsidy sa, mababawasan yung hospital bill mo. Generally, ganun yung concept. Pero parang wala namang libreng bagay sa mundo. Lahat yun may cost. Yung cost nun, yun yung premium. Para ma-enjoy mo yung benepisyo yun ng PhilHealth, may bayad yun para ma-deliver ng PhilHealth yung mga servisyo na yun at beneficios para sa iyo. Ngayon, yung mga empleyado, may kakayahan tayo magbayad ng premium at nagbabayad tayo ng 5% of our salary. Yung mahihirap at yung mga retired seniors, wala na silang kakayahan. Pero gusto natin na alagaan pa rin sila
Correct.
under the Universal Healthcare Act. So, kailangan may magbayad. Ang naatasan ng batas ay yung national government ang magbabayad ng premium ng health insurance na mahihirap at ng mga matatanda. So, yun yung subsidy. Ngayon, once binigay ng government yung subsidy to PhilHealth, bayad na yon doon sa insurance ng mahihirap at na matatanda. So, di mo pwedeng sabihin na hindi siya ginamit kasi gamit na siya from the moment it's paid and delivered. Actually, may mga arrears pa. Tinitingnan ko yung financial statements ng government. Meron pa siya mga arrears in terms of premium payments. So, may utang pa actually yung government sa PhilHealth. Pero so there's no such thing as unused premium payments
Correct.
or subsidies for the poor and the seniors.
Oo. Kasi yung yung insurance, 'di ba, minsan pag tayo nagbabayad even sa private companies, whether nangyari yung event or hindi, nabayaran mo na 'yon, hindi mo pwedeng bawiin. Halimbawa, nagbayad ako ng insurance this year, hindi naman ako namatay.
Oo.
Hindi mo pwedeng bawiin yung premium na 'yon. Kasi binayaran mo na siya contingent on an event, magbe-benefit ka contingent on an event happening. So kung
Yeah.
magkasakit ka, mamatay ka, masira sa sasakyan mo kung vehicle insurance siya. Pero kung hindi nangyari yung event na yon, hindi mo na pwedeng bawiin yung pera kasi ang nangyayari ay yun yung tinatawag na pooling.
Yun, risk pooling.
Diba? Kasi minsan yung cost na na-incur natin ay mas malaki kaysa doon sa binayad natin. Pero dahil pinull na yung lahat ng pera ng lahat ng naging miyembro para pondohan yung gastos ng iba. Gayon din, kung ikaw naman yung magkasakit, mas malaki yung gastos mo, makakakuha ka rin ng mas malaking benepisyo kaysa doon sa binayad mo. So,
risk
in this
pooling nga.
case, diba? In this case sa PhilHealth, dahil yung subsidy ng gobyerno ay premium ng indigent at senior citizens, hindi mo na yung pwedeng baguhin kasi bawiin dahil more or less naka-factor in na yon dun sa mga gastusan ng ano. Do you want me to share screen ba yung ano?
Wait.
Kaya very problematic itong ano nangyayari ngayon sa gobyerno, mukhang masarap pakinggan yung no new taxes. Pero the reality is, lumalaki kasi yung utang. Tapos lumalaki yung gastusin. Saan mo kuhanin yung pondo na yan, di ba?
Oo
Na,
nga eh.
na mababayad at mukhang nauutakan tayo dito. Ang dami pa naman nating GOCCs.
Exactly. Yung risk sharing, magandang concept nga yan talaga. Parang concept yung sa paluwagan. So minsan
Yes.
ikaw ang kinabang, minsan hindi. So ganun lang yun, umiikot lang yun.
Oo, yun nga pala yung malapit na concept na common, no? Yung paluwagan. Nagko-contribute tayo ng mas maliit pero yung pakinabang natin mas malaki doon sa contribution natin. Pero hindi mo pwedeng bawiin yung contribution mo kasi magko-collapse yung buong system. Oo. So, itong government subsidy na to ay ito yung contribution ng government para sa premium ng mga senior citizen at saka yung mga indigent. So,
Okay,
pag
hindi
kinuha
ko-
ng gobyerno yan, problematic tayo. No?
Hindi ko lang pull out ngayon yung
Sige. Okay
premium.
lang.
Meron yung sa page, bibigay ko
Ito,
sa yung
sige.
Cielo na sa
Yan.
page 41, nung share namin ni Cielo yung audited financial statements ng PhilHealth. So page 41, merong breakdown of indirect contributors. May table doon.
Ito ba yung page 41?
Page 41, makikita mo sa right-hand side.
Ah.
The page 41 on the actual file, page
Ayan,
39 dun sa...
Ayan. Ito page
Yan, yung,
41.
nakita mo yung below. Below is the breakdown of indirect contributions.
Yes. Oo.
Okay, ito as of March pa lang. So, kumbaga, isang quarter pa lang to. Meron dyan indigent, senior citizens. Yung dalawang yan yung binabayaran ng government. Yan yung supposedly covered ng government. So,
Yes.
about 9 billion for the first quarter. So, kung times 4 mo yan, yun yung the whole. Noong 2023, it's roughly about 79 billion thereabouts in total for the whole 2023. So that's almost equivalent to the whole subsidy na sinasabi na kinukuha ulit ng government.
Oo.
So yan yung ating payments lahat yan, representing yung all the indigents na may hirap at mga matatanda na enrolled automatically doon sa PhilHealth. And yan binabayaran ng gobyerno.
Oo. So ano ang overall take mo dito sa ginagawang fiscal management ni Secretary Recto, especially with respect to GOCCs?
Okay, I'll begin first with since we're just talking about I'll begin first with the PhilHealth.
Yeah.
I think it's unfair. Sobrang unfair na yung responsibility ng government na bayaran yung premium nung may hirap, pinapasa niya doon sa members effectively. Kasi binawasan niya tinanggalan niya yung premium, so effectively wala nang bayad yung mga mahihirap. Pero pag yung mahihirap at matanda pumunta sa mga hospital, required pa rin silang bigyan ng mga services. So sino magbabayad para doon sa mga services na yun? So effectively, ang nagbabayad yung mga miyembro ng PhilHealth. Tayo yun. And then kung titignan mo yung contribution structure, medyo regressive siya kasi yung karamihan na nagbabayad ay mostly the lower to middle classes. Pare-pareho lang halos yung bayad nila. Wala masyadong different. I think tatlong tiers ang yata yun. Above 100,000, 5% ka rin. Ngayon kung
Correct.
90,000 per month lang yung salary mo, so that puts you sa mga middle class. 5,000 lang yung binabayad mo kaysa dun sa mga 1 million a month na official.
Yes.
So, it's a bit regressive. So, mangyayari, nag-shoulder ng national health expense, karamihan doon, yung mga lower and middle
Yes.
classes.
Yung mga ordinaryong manggagawa.
Ordinaryo manggagawa. Pero dapat kasi ang concept natin doon, ba, parang from progressive na sino yung mas may kakaangat na mas paliwalas ang buhay, yun yung magbibigay na mas maraming contribution. Pero hindi ganun ang nangyayari. So yun yung pangit dun sa PhilHealth. Now, um, in
Alam mo
terms of
ba,
the other,
dadagdag ko
yes,
yan pang pagalit. But on the side of utilization, ang majority ng utilization sa PhilHealth ay nanggagaling sa upper class. Sa upper 20%. As opposed to the lowest 20% ng population.
yun
Ha?
pa
Ang rate
isa.
of utilization nila ay napakababa. So, kung titingnan mo yung big picture na to, ibig sabihin, automatically kinakaltas sa middle and low income workers. Ang contribution ng PhilHealth, mababang utilization, mas mataas ang utilization ng higher income, tapos kukuhanin pa yung pondo instead na palawakin yung serbisyo sa mas nakakarami. Diba?
Tama. Nakakagalit nga. I think ang dahilan doon kasi yung mga upper classes, mas edukado sila at mas alam nila yung
Yeah.
proseso at mga benepisyo. So, yung ma-maximize nila yun. Karamihan sa mahihirap, hindi alam. Na una, hindi nila
Yes.
alam na pwede pa silang may mga benefits pala sila. Like, may kaibigan ako na may hospital, community hospital, hirap na hirap silang bayar kasi yung mahihirap pumupunta sa kanila. Tapos wala silang way para bayaran yon at konti lang yung nakukuha nila sa PhilHealth. So yun, there's a lack of awareness on the lower middle class, the lower classes about the benefits. Kaya ganun siguro yung structure of usage.
Hindi rin nila alam na ano yan, family insurance yan. Isang miyembro lang ng pamilya yung kailangan mag-member.
Exactly.
Covered lahat, pati
Oo nga,
mga anak at
dependents
asawa.
Actually, ako, nalaman ko lang yung lately. Dependents pala. Kasi,
Kaso
ibig
kung
sabihin,
dalawa kayong
poor yung,
nagtatrabaho, dalawa pa
Oo,
kayong
yan.
nagbayad,
Two
di ba?
payments.
Yeah.
Yeah, tama yun. That's a good point. Now, on the case of the other GOCs, like the GFIs, actually, I would differentiate between yung government-owned and government-controlled corporation. Ang government-controlled corporation is like PhilHealth. Technically, it's not owned by the government. Kung titignan mo yung financial statements ng PhilHealth, yung capital doon, members' equity.
Yeah.
Tayong mga miyembro ang may-ari ng PhilHealth, hindi yung national government. Walang kapital yung national government doon. So, kinokontrol lang yun ng government na binamanage on our behalf. So, kung walang kapital na nilagay ang gobyerno doon, wala silang karapatan na kumuha ng pera o dividendo mula doon. That's one. Now, in contrast to, let's say, Land Bank and DBP, well, doon, it's 100% owned by government at may capital sila. So, okay lang na kumuha ka ng dividends. Wait, kaklarify ko to ha. Ang pwede mo nang kunin, dividends as a capital investor.
Yeah.
Pero, kung may mga liquid funds yung corporation, hindi mo siya pwedeng basta-basta bunutin sa corporation. That's illegal transfer of funds. Hindi ka entitled, lalo na kung may iba pang mga stakeholders yung corporation. For instance, yung sa Land Bank, that's a bank of the employees of the government. So yung mga pera doon is composed of the capital ng gobyerno. Pero maliit lang yun. Mas malaki yung mga deposito ng mga kawani ng gobyerno. So yung mga deposits nyo, kung kawani ka ng gobyerno, nandun sa Land Bank. So hindi pa rin sabihin ng national government, ang DOF, na uy, ang daming pera sa Land Bank o sa DBP. Kasi hindi naman lahat yun sa gobyerno. Yung iba doon galing, or karamihan doon galing sa deposito. So hindi ka pwedeng kumuhan more than that. Ngayon, yung gobyerno, ano pwede niyang kunin? Yung dividendo. Kung meron siyang deposits sa Land Bank, pwede naman niya i-withdraw yun kasi sa government yun. Pero yung other funds doon na actually nagmula sa depositors, hindi kanya yun. Hindi sa government yun. Miyembro yun. So yun, kailangan i-distinguish yun. Ginawa rin nga yun sa central bank eh. Naisip yun dati nung parang, uy, ang daming pera sa central bank, kunin natin. Billions yun. Kapital lang ng government doon was about 50 billion. So beyond that, you can only get dividends at nire-remit na yun. So yun, parang actually
So
may
in
law
that case, talagang magiging problematic itong insertion nila sa GAA na kumukuha ng money from GOCCs beyond dividends. Kasi kung dividends lang talaga, they don't need that provision. Kasi dividends are automatically remitted every year. Diba?
Actually,
Eh,
yung Land
sige,
Bank
go ahead.
nga and DBP, sorry Land Bank and DBP, meron nga silang dividend relief. Meaning, hindi mo na for a number of years, hindi mo sila re-remit ng dividends sa government kasi kailangan nila i-build up yung capital nila.
Na
Kasi
kinuha
financial
for
statements na yun.
Maharlika.
And yet, binawasan sila ng pera. Hindi ka wala kang kapasidad mag-declare ng dividend sa government, pero binawasan ka pa ng, siguro kaya ginawa ng government yung binawasan kasi walang dividends na makuha.
Oo, oo. O, tapos ngayon, ilalagay nila sa PSE para makapag-mobilize ang capital.
Ah, well, yes, actually. Ganun nangyari. Kasi since kulang na yung pera. Tama. Like what we discussed earlier.
Pero alam mo, di ba, kinuhanan na rin ng pera yung PDIC, Philippine Deposit Insurance Corporation.
Yes. Okay. Yan, medyo nag-iisip pa ako on how to go about it. Technically, it's hindi ko pa nakikita yung financials ng PDIC kasi medyo busy pa ako doon sa PhilHealth.
I know.
Pero in principle, yung pondo dyan galing sa premium naman, deposit insurance premium naman. Ang nagbabayad
Yes.
niyan would be the banks.
The banks. Correct.
Banks. So,
Oo.
actually,
So, pera ng mga bangko yan, di ba? Hindi yan pera ng gobyerno.
hindi mo rin naman masabing pera ng bangko, pero galing yun sa bangko. Pero hindi
Yeah.
mo masasabing galing sa gobyerno. Hindi ko sure kasi kung merong initial capital yung government sa PDIC. Hindi ko pa na-check yun. Pero kung merong initial capital yung government sa PDIC, yung dividends lang from that share of initial capital, ang pwede niyang kunin. Hindi niya siya pwede kumuha beyond that. Kasi the others do not belong to national government.
Yes.
It technically belongs to the banking industry.
Yes.
Now, kung kung tiba-tiba yung kita ng PDIC, which is actually the case, kasi most of the banks naman are stable. So, hindi siya mag-default.
Yeah.
So, yung binayad na insurance, premium, ng mga
Kumikita
bangko,
lang.
kita lang yun. Hindi naman nag-default yung mga bigger banks. Karamihan nag-default yung mga small rural banks.
Yes. Oo.
So, every year, ang laki ng kita ng PDIs. Yun, so hindi ko parang, ang masasabi ko
Pero
lang,
at the same time, the nature of PDIC on why it established, may specific purpose din, similar to PhilHealth. And that is to protect the depositors kapag ka nagkaroon ng mga default yung bangko,
yes,
o
yes.
magkaroon ng bank run, 'di ba? Para may guarantee yung deposito natin eh. Ako ang nakikita kong danger doon is if you keep on eroding yung money that is available in an institution like PDIC na very specific ang purpose. Dangerous 'yun. Kasi ibig sabihin, yun nga ang purpose niya is to protect the interest of depositors. Hindi dahil may pera dyan, pwedeng basta-basta kuhanin. In fact,
Okay.
gusto natin may pera dyan because there has to be sufficient fund to cover yung mga insurance claims sa mga tao just in case magkaroon ng bank run, di ba?
Agree. Well, so conceptually, that's correct. Now, in actual reality, we will go to the actuarial. When you say actuarial,
Yeah.
yun yung probability na yung kinakatakutan mo mangyayari o hindi. So,
Yeah.
if we're talking about insurance, it's bank run. Deposit insurance, probability ng bank run. I think in real life, sobrang liit ng probability as a whole. Di ba sabi natin
For
kanina,
big
risk
banks.
sharing, risk pooling. So kung i-average mo yung probability of bank runs sa big banks sa small banks, maliit lang.
Yeah.
So yung premium is deposit premium paid by the banks is more than enough to cover the actuarial reserves. Yung
Yes.
sinasabi ng actuarial reserves, yung reserves na isa-set aside mo para just in case may bank run, mako-cover mo, puprotektahan mo yung mga depositors. I think
Yes.
so parang medyo tubong lugaw, to be honest, I guess it's not applicable only to the Philippines, but in general, na yung this kind of business, well, it's not really a business. This is like a national risk sharing, risk management
Yeah.
framework or structure.
Ah.
This structure actually allows for lots of dividends. And nagde-declare na yung PDIC ng dividends. Nag-remit na siya ng dividends sa government. So sana naman wag abusuhin.
Oo.
Kung ako kasi magrereklamo ako, kung nasa banking industry ako,
Yes.
diba, kung nakikita ko, ang laki-laki naman pala ng profit nyo, baka naman pwede niyang bawasan yung deposit premium
Premium. Oo.
from the banker's point of view. Now, from a
Yes.
depositor's point of view, baka naman I can ask my bank na i-request yung PDIC na bawasan yung premium, and then kung ano man savings na makuha ng banko doon, ipasa na lang in terms of lesser fees. Like yung ATM fees ang mahal, 18 pesos, 20 pesos. Pwede nang ibigay niyo sa amin yun.
Lower, no?
Mga ganung usapan.
Or
Kung
ibalik,
talagang-
kung share yan ng banks, parang pwedeng mag-issue ng dividend sa banks. And then yun nga, translate to lower fees to consumers. Kasi for sure, doon din naman namomobilize yan yung premium contribution ng PDIC. Diba?
Not sure ako if that's legally corporate. Hindi ako masyadong, from a corporate law perspective, kung possible yun. Pero kung possible, that's another
Why
way.
not? Oo.
Why not, di ba? So, yung mga ganon. So, next time, I can probably dig deeper into the PDIC thing. But for now, that's all I can say on the PDIC.
Ang flag natin sa PDIC is to check how much is a government's capitalization or share in the PDIC,
Yes.
which could warrant government getting money aside on
Yes.
top of the dividends that they regularly collect. Pero kung
That's
wala
one.
palang government share doon, then that becomes very questionable, diba?
Yes, that's one. The other thing, and I guess the more important thing, yung valuation reserves, actuarial reserves ng PDIC. Makikita sa financial statements ng parang hindi ko nakikita. Kailangan positive yon. Meaning, malaki yung pondo ng PDIC to cover a probable bank run. Kahit simultaneous pa yan. Yun. Kung positive yun, medyo pwede pa.
Kampante.
Medyo kampante pa tayo. At least yung purpose niya nagagawa. Kasi
Yes.
that was a major issue in PhilHealth and SSS and GSIS. Yung sa PhilHealth, medyo ano lang itong reserves na ito eh.
Negative.
Yung reserves, hindi, ito yung medyo tricky dito. Yung reserves by law sa Universal Healthcare Act only covers 2 years of operational
Yes.
expenses. 2 years lang. Pero in real life naman, ang babayaran mo, decades. Diba?
Yes.
So, sobrang short-sighted yung reserve doon.
Yeah.
When you actually do set aside actuarial reserves for any insurance mechanism, kailangan ko-cover mo yung the whole number of years na may expect kang claim. So, meaning it's all throughout the life of the members.
Lifetime.
Lifetime dapat yun. Pag sinama mo yung mga provisions for insurance contract liabilities, negative yung reserves natin.
Yes.
Sobrang negative. Actually,
So,
nangyayari.
itong insurance contract liabilities more or less an estimate ng possible gastos, diba?
Yes.
Or ito na yung actual gastos,
Estimate.
estimate ng potential gastos ng mga members ng PhilHealth.
Yes.
Tama ba? Yeah.
Yes. Kasi pwede ngayon, konti pa lang yung nag-claim. So yung gastos mo maliliit, nako-cover. At may excess reserves ka for the next 2 years. Pero pag lumobo, pag tumanda na yung population, yung pagtanda ng population, naka-count yun dun sa provision for insurance liabilities. Mag-negative na. So ngayon pwede, okay naman, may pera tayo. Pero may utang tayo in the near future. Near and far future. So, ang best practice sa insurance is that you don't only think of the 1, 2, 3 years. You think of the whole lifetime. Actually, naging problema natin kung bakit nagkakapalpak-palpak yung mga insurance companies natin. Like a few years ago, the talk about PhilHealth was about yung life niya, likli. So, kailangan natin i-prolong yung life. Now, all of a sudden, after a few years, may excess funds tayo. Paano nangyari
Oo.
yun?
Oh.
So,
And
the
and
reality
that
is,
makes it more problematic kasi short-sighted na siya. 2 years lang
sobrang
yung iniisip
short-sighted.
niya, pero guaranteed ang coverage for senior citizens.
Yes.
And then government will withdraw its subsidy for senior citizens.
Yeah.
And then hindi na talaga siya sustainable because
Exactly.
the corporation itself is not designed to be sustainable, and it's
Yeah.
designed to rely on government subsidy to be operationable, especially if we are subsidizing seniors and indigents. Diba?
Yes. Negative pa yung 2023 pa lang. Ngayon, tumaas pa yung mga claims this year. So, lalo lalaki yung provisions. Ang isa pa nito, yung subsidy ng government, imputed na siya in calculating the net insurance liabilities. Meaning,
Yes.
ina-assume natin, ang liabilities natin ganito lang kasi yung gobyerno magbabayad ng
Correct.
premium ng may hirap at matatanda. Kung tatanggalin mo yun, binawasan mo na yung cash ng PhilHealth, babawasan mo pa yung effectively, tinaasan mo pa yung liabilities.
Yes. Oo.
Kasi tinanggal mo na yung assumption na merong pondo manggagaling sa gobyerno. So yun, so medyo na double whammy tayo. Kaya medyo nakakabanggalit yun.
Oo. Medyo very technical kasi itong mga GOCC financing kaya importante na na-explain at na-share natin sa mga kababayan natin kasi tayo din yung nagko-contribute dyan tapos hindi natin alam kung paano ba kung namamanage ba mabuti ng gobyerno at kinukuha na tong pondo. So, syempre, ang kailangan nating bantayan yung iba pang GOCCs natin dahil may marami tayong contribution dyan like SSS,
Yes.
GSIS, Pag-ibig. Kaya siguro ano yung, hindi man warning, but your advice to the public given this pattern of fiscal mismanagement and sabihin nating strategy ng gobyerno sa pag-mobilize ng pondo?
I guess it's to look at the facts kasi at the end of the day, only facts can clear statements, okay, or misrepresentation. I think there's a misrepresentation here that there are excess funds. Excess for funds, let's say in PhilHealth, for excess over the 2-year estimate of expenses. But there's no excess in the actuarial reserves. Actually, negative pa siya. Siguro let's look at the facts. At pag nakita natin na mali pala yun, at apektado tayo, I think kailangan natin pakita yung ating disagreement. Yung sa Maharlika, we were successful in showing our disgust and disagreement with tampering with those ating pension funds. Diba?
Yes.
Pero remember, yung pension pa lang yun, ha? Meaning, ma-enjoy mo pa lang yun in the future, pero nagalit na tayo. Ito, health benefits. Meaning, kailangan mo to
Ngayon na to
ngayon
Diba?
until, pwede tayo magkasakit as early as now.
Yeah.
So, actually, kung tutusin, dapat magalit tayo. Kasi mas importante yung PhilHealth kaysa sa pension.
Oo.
So yun, paalam na natin sa mga representatives natin kasi somehow nakikinig naman sila sensitive naman sila sa public opinion eh.
Kaso
Pero
sila may
kailangan-
kasalanan dun
Isa pa yun.
Kongreso yung naglagay ng insertion sa sa General
Yeah.
Appropriations Act which is now being used by DOF as a legal basis, diba?
Isa pang problematic dyan sa insertion na yan, walang definition kung ano yung excess.
Yeah.
And because there's no
2-year
definition,
operational expense. That's
Hindi.
after you estimate the 2-year operational expense,
Nakalagay
they're
ba?
authorizing to
ganun
get
ba,
the
ganun ba exactly yung word? Hindi, alam ko sa PhilHealth, ganun, 2 years. Pero yung sa rider on the, what do you call this? On the
GAA.
Universal Health,
It's-
GAA
it's-
mismo.
2 years. 2 years operational expense ng
Ganun ba?
oo.
Also, short-sighted yun. Dapat
Yes.
for insurance corporations, dapat yung actuarial research.
Oo.
And it's,
2
I
years
think,
nakalagay.
yun, sobrang mali yun. Kasi nga, dapat tingnan mo yung actuarial research. And imagine na yung insurance commission is under DOF. As insurance commission, yung regulator, nire-regulate niya yung mga private insurance companies make sure na kompleto yung actuarial research at wala kayong deficit.
Oo.
Ang dami nating history na gano'n, na kulang, merong provision for 1 or 2 years, pero for the whole life, wala. Kaya nagfo-fold up. Like yung capital assurance plan, I'm sure
Yes.
marami pa rin ganito. Meron pa rin naghihintay hanggang ngayon. Kulang kasi sila ng reserves.
Yeah.
Yung Loyola plans, medyo recent yun. Ganun rin. Kasi kulang sila ng reserves. Kasi very short-sighted yung reserving nila.
Tapos yun ang ginagawa ng DOF ngayon.
Ay, and they oversee Insurance Commission.
So facepalm na lang tayo.
Well, wag naman sana meron tayong magawa.
Ayan po. So, maraming salamat, Rico, for explaining this to us. I'm sure maraming nakikinig sa atin. Ang flag siguro natin, well, maraming government corporations, nagre-rely sa contribution nating mga mamamayan, may iba-ibang functions and purposes sila, so maging mapagmasid po tayo, mapagmatsyag at pag-aralan itong ginagawang pag-mobilize ng pondo ng gobyerno. Masarap pakinggan, no new taxes, pero sa ibang paraan naman po kinukuha ang pangpondo dito sa gastusin ng pamahalaan. Yung paghihimay kung paano ginagasta, that's for another topic na babanggit-banggit na rin natin. But maybe another time we will invite again Prof. Rico to discuss with us kung ano naman ang take niya sa government expenditure. But for now, tatapusin na po natin tong discussion natin kasi medyo mabigat na topic to. We sit, we absorb, and then we reflect, and then we mobilize kung kailangan. Ayan. So maraming salamat, Professor Rico, sa pag-join sa atin ngayong araw na to.
Salamat rin, Sheila. And kumusta sa lahat ng mga viewers.
Ayan. Thank you.